Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayom Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Shtitira Sata Shri Srimad Shitandi Goswami Shri Si Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Shtitira Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. First we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Today there's so much to talk about because this is the appearance day and disappearance day and celebration day and all kinds of things happen today. So we'll first begin with the Bhagavatam and then we'll try to spend some time on all these wonderful appearances and so on. Okay, so this is 230, chapter, Canto 3, 23, 2. Vishrambena atmasochena Gauravena damena cha Shushushaya Sohridena Vacha Madhuraya Chabho Vishrambena atmasochena Gauravena damena cha Shushushaya Sohridena Vacha Madhuraya Chabho. Others? Vishambena atmasochena Gauravena damena cha Shushushaya Sohridena Vacha Madhuraya Chabho Vishambena atmasochena Gauravena damena cha Shushushaya Sohridena Vacha Madhuraya Chabho Vishambena atmasochena Gauravena damena cha Shushushaya Sohridena Vacha Madhuraya Chabho. Ladies? Any ladies? What? Ah, you can't see. Vishambena atmasochena Gauravena damena cha Shushushaya Sohridena Vacha Madhuraya Chabho. Vishrambena, with intimacy. Atmashochena, with purity of mind and body. Gauravena, with great respect. Damena, with control of the senses. Cha, and Sushushaya, with service. Sohridena, with love. Vacha, with words. Madhuraya, sweet, cha, and wo, o Vidura. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Vidura, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love, and with sweet words. Purport. Here, two words are very significant. Devahuti served her husband in two ways, Vishrambhena and Gauravena. These are two important processes in serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This will connect with Madhavendra Puri. Vishrambhena means with intimacy, and Gauravena means with great reverence. The husband is a very intimate friend. Therefore, the wife must render service just like an intimate friend. And at the same time, she must understand that the husband is superior in position, and thus she must offer him all respect. A man's psychology and women's psychology are different. As constituted by bodily frame, a man always wants to be superior to his wife. And a woman, as bodily constituted, is naturally inferior to her husband. Thus, the natural instinct is that the husband wants to post himself as superior to the wife, and this must be observed. Even if there's some wrong on the part of the husband, the wife must tolerate it. And thus there will be no misunderstanding between husband and wife. Vishrambhena means with intimacy, but it must not be familiarity that breeds contempt. According to the Vedic civilization, a wife cannot call her husband by name. In the present civilization, the wife calls her husband by name, but in Hindu civilization, she does not. Thus, the inferiority and superiority complexes are recognized. Damainacha, a wife has to learn to control herself even if there is a misunderstanding. Sauradena vacha madhuraya means always desiring good for the husband and speaking to him with sweet words. A person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. Therefore, in his home life, he must be treated by his wife with sweet words. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Om Agyanatya Mrandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuramilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Karoti Bhachalam Bangalangaya Te Girim Jat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Mahatma Shri Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. One of these purports that grihastas are meant to, well, it depends. Ramai Maharaj, I don't know if you're relieved that this is not your purport or speaking from experience, right? That's what we're supposed to do now. But there are some very good principles in this, and I'm, as I said, I do want to speak extensively on all the wonderful personalities that appear on this day, or it's an extraordinary day. So I won't dwell on this topic too long, because that also saves me from having to dwell on this topic too long. and defending any of the wonderful Vaishnavis in this room, or making any of the wonderful Vaishnavas in this room more, you know, building their egos more than they should. But it is clear from this purport and from so many of Srila Prabhupada's writings on the topic that the difference that I think everyone, even those who, you know, take the position of feminism or of full equality between the genders, must admit there are differences. I mean, I know many such individuals, and you know, they can't argue on that point. There is a difference. I mean, at least physically, you know, you cannot deny it. And that's what Prabhupada says here. He says that as constituted by bodily frame, okay, so there's a physical difference that is undeniable. And that physical difference leads to a natural relationship. Let's begin with the ladies. Their primary physical difference is they are equipped to have children. Forget it, men. No way. You cannot do it. There are some actual cases where men have carried a fetus in their bellies by some extraordinary, you know, but they couldn't breastfeed them. Women are built for children, as opposed to men, which are not. They're not built for children, but they are built in general to protect women so that they can bear children and raise them. And this natural relationship of men protecting women so that they can raise children, that lends itself to a certain psychology. In order for the man to feel, you know, the kind of strength and the determination against all odds to risk their lives, to go out, like Prabhupada says here, you know, they go out, a person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. So men go out and they have to deal with the world in order to support their families. So in order to do that, in order to have the psychology to be able to do that, they, from the material perspective, and now we're speaking only about the material differences, because let's always, always, always remember that we ourselves are not men and we are not women. We are not our bodies. So when we speak of these topics, we're only speaking in terms of how we relate with each other in our social arrangements, for the benefit of society, for the benefit, for utilizing the natural material arrangements for the service of Krishna. Because when we marry, when we enter into the Grihastha ashram, we're doing it in order to serve Krishna better, in order to take that material side of our lives, which in our neophyte, attempting to be Madhyamadikari stage, is still very prominent in our consciousness. And so we're taking this material side of our life and trying to dovetail it. Prabhupada used that term, which I think nowadays in modern, young people, dovetail? What's dovetail? What's a dove, bird, It's a carpentry term, which, is hardly used these days, because who's a carpenter? You just get a machine and it does everything. But to dovetail, to bring together, to utilize our material propensities, our material natures in the service of Krishna. So in Grihastha life, that means to be engaged in service to one another by intimacy. Prabhupada describes here that there must be intimacy. It was here, actually, just a little side note. Here in New Govardhana, it must have been, 1990, I don't know, it was a long time ago. Tamal Krishna Maharaj we visited here, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was here, and he was having an Ishtagoshti with the Grihastas in this community. I doubt any of you were here at that time. It was a long time ago. Now, those of you who know Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Ramai Maharaj, you know Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Anyone else? Tita Guna? You've got a little. Anyway, if you've known him, you know that he was known. I knew him best or most in the Radha Damodar days. And in those days, everyone knew him as the heavy sannyasi, and the talk was Grihastha life, the dark well, at all costs avoid it. So he was speaking to the Grihastas here, and he started speaking, and in his talk, he said something. This is Tamal Krishna Maharaj speaking this. He said, Grihastas, you have to love your wives. Okay. Love, yes, you have to love them. Because in the past, it might have been, you have to control them, or you have to, they're your servants. I won't go into too much detail on that. But, yes, love. The word here it's there, right here. Yes, it is, yes. With love, Sauradena, Vishrambena. Sauradena, love. But coupled with Gauravena. And Atma Sochena, purity of mind and body. And Dhamena. So you have these wonderful combinations. Vishrambena, Sauradena, intimacy, love. Gauravena, respect. And Madhuraya, sweetness. Vacha Madhuraya, sweet words. But Atma Sochena, purity of mind and body. Dhamena, control of the senses. So, Prabhupada's point here is for women's protection. And why should women be protected? So that they can raise children well and nicely. And why raise children? And how to raise children? So that they can be Vaishnavas. And in this way, these spirit souls, the jivas, cycling through countless species of life, coming to the human form of life, can make full use to go back to Godhead, to get free. So, today, there's a lot that happens on this day. The Vaishnava calendar describes that, first of all, this is the day of Krishna Fool Dhol Salila Vihar. This is, the Krishna Fool Dhol is described as the boat festival. And the Salila Vihar is a sort of a summer, Salila is rain, so it's a shower festival, a festival of cooling showers for the Lord. So here in the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite. But if you were in Mayapur right now, you would know why a Salila Vihar would be really nice. Here you get rain, but it's cold. But there in Mayapur, and you can look this up, you can see that they've brought, made a little pool, and the pool is filled with lotus on the altar. Not actually on the altar; it's on the stage, I guess you should call it, in front of the altar. And they make a little pool. It's filled with nice flowers, and then I think Radha Madhava themselves are brought on to that, or maybe it's the Utsav Murtis. I'm not sure. They're brought, and then there's this shower. And thus they enjoy cooling in this summer heat. It's also this is the time of Chandan Yatra, so the Lord gets, and oh, you should see how extraordinary. Please do go and look at the pictures, because every day, along with the Chandan, various pastimes are displayed for the Lord by the artistry of the devotees there, particularly the young ladies. As far as I know, they take a great effort to make beautiful tableaus. So there's a history to this too, and I have till what, an hour? So another half hour, is that 8:30? Okay. So there's a history to this festival, and I'm thinking today, let me just continue. What is today? So today is this Phula Dhola and Salila Vihar. Then it's also the appearance of Madhavendra Puri. It's the disappearance of Parameshwari Das Thakur. It's the appearance of Radharaman. Radharaman. I'm speaking of Radharaman, the deity Radharaman. And it's the appearance of Srinivasacharya. So there's a kind of an order here, beginning with Krishna and his pastimes, and then extending to Madhavendra Puri, who we can talk about how he brings those pastimes into deeper connection for us. And then extending into the 6 Goswamis, well, extending into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela and Parameshwara Das. And then the 6 Goswamis, in particularly Gopal Bhatta and Radharaman, and then Srinivasacharya. They're all connected. So the beginning is Krishna in his boat Leela. And this is such a wonderful Leela. How many of you have done Govardhana Parikrama? Most of you. Okay. So you all can now remember Manasi Ganga. Manasi Ganga, the largest of the kunds of Govardhana, right in its middle, that appeared from the mind of Krishna after he killed the demon Vatsasura. His friends, his cowherd boyfriends, they got on his case. They said, "You've killed a calf. This is so sinful." He He said, wait a minute, this was no calf. This was a demon. It was not a real calf. It was just a demon posing as a calf. Well, there's no sin in that. No, it's a calf. It doesn't matter. You killed a calf. Now you've got to go and you've got to bathe in the Ganges and purify yourself of all these sins. His boy friends were so heavy on him. He said, well, all right. And I'm not going to go so far. And he called in his mind, Manasi, Ganga, come. And Ganga appeared in this big lake. Later, and he took his bath, and the boys were all happy. A little bit later, Nanda Maharaj and his companions, they were hearing about the glories of Ganga. How Garuda had caught a snake, as he likes to do, and was flying away to wherever he wanted to enjoy his meal. And somehow the snake slipped from his grip as he was just over the Ganga river and fell into and emerged with and went straight to Vaikuntha. And Nanda Maharaj said, it's high time that I go to the Ganga for bathing. And he was preparing with his friends, and Krishna came and said, Baba, where are you going? And he said, well, I'm going to the Ganga. Baba, that's so far. Oh, but it's so auspicious. Baba, there's no need. Ganga's here. I called her. She's here. You know, Manasi, that big lake that is just nearby on Govardhana, that's Ganga. Oh, it's Ganga? Oh, boy, you're telling something. No, come, you'll see. And they came to the banks of Manasi Ganga. And out from the water, Ganga appeared, riding on her, what is it? We call it a crocodile, but it's actually something a little different, sort of. Anyway, it's like a crocodile. And okay. Yes, Ganga's here. And they all enjoyed bathing in the Ganga. Manasi Ganga had another wonderful role in Krishna Lila, in bringing out the intimacy of Sri Radha and Krishna. And that leads us to Madhavendra Puri. So first let's hear the story. How the gopis led by Sri Radha used to go cross Manasi Ganga on their way from Vashana and other parts. And one day they were a bit late, and they came to the Manasi Ganga, which at the time is described as being very large. And they were looking around and how to cross. They needed to cross over. They couldn't go around this time. They needed to cross. And they saw there's a boatman. Okay, boatman, please take us across the Ganga. Manasi Ganga. And the boatman rose up and said, yes, I'll do that, but I must be paid. And they're carrying their yogurt and sweets and milk products. Yes, I'll take some of that. And he enjoys. All right, let's go. They get on the boat. And the boatman is rowing. And then he stops. They said, why are you stopping? He says, well, I'm still hungry. Give me some more. Oh, okay, here, have some more. All right, okay. And then he says, oh, I've eaten too much. I have to lay down. And the gopis, lay down. We'll lay you down. In the water we'll lay you down. Go. We paid you. All right. He keeps rowing. And then of course, this is Krishna, by the way. You'll know that later on. But anyhow, by his power, the boat seems to be sinking. And so he tells the boats, it's too heavy. All of this milk products, it's too. We're not going to make it. You have to throw it out. Then, okay, and they throw all their milk pots into the Ganga, into the water. And then he rows again. No, it's still too heavy. All those heavy jewelry you're wearing, this is too much. You got to get rid of it. And they're getting a little, but they're nervous, so they take it and they throw it on. And he begins to row. It's still too heavy. Your clothing, it's so heavy. You better take it all off and you boatmen, we'll throw you in the Ganga and then we'll be light enough. All right. He begins to row. But then, by his arrangement, the clouds darken just like out there. The wind picks up. The boat begins to rock. Which how many of you have been in Mayapur for the boat festival? You see how at a certain point they begin to rock the boat. I'm on this and I look and I say, this is going to tip over. It's just, they rock it. They're so expert. They rock it back and forth. So the gopis are on this boat with the boatman, and the boat is rocking back and forth, and they're all thinking it's going to collapse, and they're holding and hugging on to each other, and Radha goes and hugs the boatman, and she, this is no boatman. Her feelings of love emerge, and she looks down, and what does she see tucked in the belt of the boatman? And the gopis are all looking, so you've changed. And she pulls out Krishna's flute. And that begins their boat pastime. For hours they enjoy on the boat. So that is today's Leela. But during the time of Madhavendra Puri, who is, we understand, to be in the line of Madhavacharya. Our sampradaya is the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Now, we trace our line through Madhavendra Puri to Lakshmi Tirtha, and then to Sri Madhvacharya, and from Madhvacharya to Vyasadeva, to Narada, to Brahma. Now, Madhvacharya, even to this day, they worship Krishna. But they worship Krishna alone. Again, how many have been to Udupi? We were just in Udupi. So there's the Sri Krishna Mat, the extraordinary deity of Krishna, who was discovered by Madhavendra Puri in a lump of chandan, along with Balaram. Balaram has his temple also in Udupi, and I think Janardhan was there in that chandan. So in the Madhava Sampradaya, up until the time of Madhavendra, the emphasis was to serve Krishna in Dasya Ras, as a servant. That was the emphasis. But then comes Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri begins to manifest Madhurya Ras. He, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 4:197, his poem is quoted. Ai, 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 We say that every day. Ai, ai nanda tanuja kinkaram patita namam vishame bhavam buddho kripaya tavapada pankajastita duli sadashim vichintaya. So he also, ai dina dayardra nata he maturanata kadavalokshase hridayam tadaloka katarang daita brahmyati kim karum yaham. Translation. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? Madhavendra Puri is expressing the emotions of Sri Radha in separation. This begins Madhavendra Puri's ecstatic experience of Madhurya Ras, Vipralamba, is described as the root. Here it is actually described as the sprout, sometimes, of the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada's purport he says, describing this verse, thus devotional service in separation is central to this verse. Worship in separation is considered by the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya to be the topmost level of devotional service. So Madhavendra Puri, Prabhupada describes here, therefore Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya say that the ecstatic feelings experienced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his appearance came from Sri Madhavendra Puri through Ishvara Puri. So Madhavendra Puri, we know a few of his pastimes. Since we're running out of, we don't have any time. So much to say. But let's just quickly, Madhavendra Puri discovered Srinathji. Here we have Krishna and Balaram, and Krishna is in the form of Srinathji here, the lifter of Govardhana hill, who he discovered in that wonderful way by some other literature, the term pretext of a dream is used. We'll hear that later if we get time. I don't know, in Srinivasacharya. In the pretext of a dream, he gets to know that Gopal is there to be rescued. So we won't go into all, because there's so much to be said about Madhavendra Puri, but we'd like to speak a little bit about the other personalities. Let's fast forward to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and the appearance of Radharaman. In brief, Gopal Bhatta was the son of Venkata Bhatta, and met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a very young boy on his tour of South India. He wanted to go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Mahaprabhu said, no, stay. Serve your parents. The time will come. And when his parents left this world, he proceeded to Vrindavan. There in Vrindavan, he joined Rupa and Sanatan. I believe Raghunath must have been there also at that time. I'm not sure about Raghunath Bhatta, whether he had yet come. Jiva had not yet come. And Gopal Bhatta joined and lived the same way, living under the trees, totally absorbed in Krishna Smaranam. And again in a dream, as Gopal Bhatta was feeling the being in that line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was feeling those ecstasies that Madhavendra Puri was feeling, that had transmitted, that had been coming down, that had been like a river flowing. Or you could say the sap, maybe the tree is a better analogy, the sap of the tree flowing upwards into the leaves and the branches. He was receiving the nourishment that Madhavendra Puri had delivered to Ishvara Puri and then to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who he got from. He was feeling that separation, and in a dream, Mahaprabhu, go to Nepal. I don't know if it was called Nepal then. And he did. And there he went to the banks of the Gandaki and was bathing. He was going to bathe from the water of the Gandaki. He put his pot in and he lifted it up, and in the pot there were shilas. And out of respect, he returned them to the river and again picked up his pot, and there were shilas. And he returned them, and again he picked up his pot, and there were shilas. He said, all right. All right, I get the point. I mean, my American. Yes, there were 12. So from that day, he began worshipping those shilas. He used to carry them in little sacks on his neck. And he took up again his life in Vrindavan, living under the trees. And one day a wealthy merchant, a Shet, he came and he offered him beautiful cloth and ornaments. And of course, Gopal Bhatta, he received these, but then this was, I think, it was close to Nishinga Chaturdashi. But he began lamenting, what can I do with these? My Lord has a very simple form. He's just a stone. It's round. How can I dress him? He was thinking like this, that wouldn't it be so nice to be able to dress my Lord with these wonderful ornaments? And in this way he was thinking, and went to sleep. And in the morning, and he used to hang his, as he sleep, he would take the shilas and he would hang them in a tree or a basket. And he went for his morning bath. And when he came back, and he uncovered, there in his basket, there were 11 shilas and one Krishna, Radharaman, had appeared out of the Damodar Shila. And that was on this day, the day after Nishinga Chaturdashi. So he began and established the worship of Radharaman. There's, recently, in the Govardhana retreat, we were hearing about Radharaman. And there was a discussion, well, where is Radha? We say Radharaman, but where is Radha? When you go there, you'll see that just by the side, there are some clothing and so, but there is Radha in the form of her name. Radha is there. So just like for us, in our Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Krishna is there, Radha is there in name. So Gopal Bhatta continued to worship. Srinivasacharya was at this time just a young boy. At the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's taking of sannyas, one devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I was reading today, so I'm pretty sure it's Gangadhar was his name. He became so distraught on the acceptance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, Gauranga's acceptance of the order of sannyas. He simply was saying, Chaitanya, 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 Chaitanya. He was just chanting Chaitanya, Chaitanya, Chaitanya. He eventually became known as Chaitanya Das. And now I'm going to take shelter of my notes here. And when he went to Puri, Lord Chaitanya told him, soon your wife will give birth to a son named Srinivas. And through Srinivas, all the Bhakti Shastras of Rupa and Sanatan will be distributed. Now, Srinivas never saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When his father passed, he took shelter of the Vaishnavas, and they all proclaimed him to be the embodiment of Lord Chaitanya's love. Described that an embodiment of Gaura Shakti. He was instructed to, he went to Puri to study Bhagavat with Gadadhar Pandit because Mahaprabhu had already left. Nityananda was still there, but Gadadhar was there. He went to study Bhagavatam with Gadadhar. And by the time he got there, Mahaprabhu had left this world, and Gadadhar was simply in a state of total separation, weeping. The Bhagavatam that he had cherished, sharing with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day, was simply covered with his tears. It became illegible. And he told Srinivas, yes, I must teach you, but how can I do this with this manuscript, which is, I cannot even read it. We'll need to get another copy. And they sent word to, I believe, Narhari Sarkar, who was the close mentor of Srinivas, who said, yes, I have one. Someone must come and collect. So Gadadhar said, you go and collect. So Srinivas went, he collected the manuscript, and on his way back he thought, let me visit various places. He visited different devotees on his way. So he didn't exactly rush back. And when he got back, Gadadhar left this world. So again, I think there was a dream, and now go to Vrindavan and take shelter of Rupa and Sanatan. So before doing that, he went to Navadvip, he met with this one and that one and so on and so forth. And he took his time. And there's a lot of, we're out of time, so I'm going to skip all the details. You can read about it. Who the various wonderful personalities he met on his pilgrimage to Vrindavan. And as you might have guessed, when he got to Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami had left this world 4 months earlier. No, Sanatan had left the world 4 months earlier, and Rupa had left 3 days earlier. But there was Sri Jiva, and there was Gopal Bhatta. So he took shelter. He took his diksha from Gopal Bhatta, and then took shelter of Sri Jiva to learn. And Sri Jiva gave him the title Acharya, so he became known as Srinivas Acharya. Now we could spend, and we don't have time, so I'll just go to one of the highlights of Srinivas Acharya's life. When they were dispatched, Srinivas is described that after the Goswamis were like the first expansion of Mahaprabhu's Shakti. The second expansion was Srinivas, Narottam, and Shyamananda. And they were entrusted by Jiva to take the Grantha, the Bhakti Granth, the Shastras, and begin book distribution. They're the beginners. To begin the book distribution by carrying these to Bengal. So they are proceeding to Bengal with a retinue of, I think, 15 armed guards and several servants with this wonderful bullock cart with all the manuscripts wrapped nicely in and covered very, very carefully. And they proceed into the area of Birbhum, where there was a king named what was his name? Vishnu something. Anyway. Virambir, yeah. Virambir. So Virambir was a devotee. He was a Vaishnava, but he was also a king, and he had a very good technique. He said, "Well, I'm going to build my kingdom. I'm going to employ dacoits," and they were ruthless. They would rob on the street. And he had some astrologers who would search the stars to see when there was something coming and where and so on. And this astrologist told me, there's a great treasure. There's a really great treasure arriving on the road very soon. And the dacoits see this procession with this cart, and it's all nicely wrapped. And there's 15 guards, and that's it. And they begin to follow, and they just, as soon as it enters into our area, that's where we'll get it. And so it proceeds, and they reach the area of Birbhum, and it's a nice night, and the guards are feeling a little tired. They've had a long walk. They're all asleep, and next morning they wake up, and it's gone. You can imagine the distress of Shyamananda, Narottam, and Srinivas. This was not, the internet age. This was, these were hand palm leaf manuscripts, meticulously copied from the originals in Vrindavan. What are they going to do? Srinivas says, I will stay. I will find them. And he does. And he gets to the kingdom of Virambir. He's with a Brahmin who befriends him, and he takes him to the palace of the king, who's hearing Bhagavatam on a daily basis from some pandit. The pandit's recitation of the Bhagavatam, however, is like many of those uh, class, uh, filled with a bit of, speculation and mistakes. And Srinivas is sitting, and for days he listened, and he can't take it. He said, "Your recitation is full of fault. You don't follow Sridhar Swami, the commentator." And this reciter gets a bit offended. So, all right, and the king, he sees something in Srinivas. He says, "Oh, you speak." And when he speaks, everyone is astounded. He speaks for days. And finally the king asks him, "Who are you?" And he describes, "I am Srinivas. I've come from Vrindavan, but we're carrying these great treasures." Of course, when the king got the treasure from his bandits and he opens it up, he said, "Well, what have I done? This is not what I thought." And he feels very remorseful. So when he hears this, he's immediately, he explains, "I'm the one, I'm the culprit, please forgive me." He's forgiven. The Shastras are returned, and Srinivas initiates him. He returns to Bengal. Shamananda goes to Orissa. Narottam goes east back to Keturi, and Srinivas is in the western areas of Bengal, and they begin the preaching. They begin the Sankirtan movement. They begin the book distribution, not by copying, but by, I assume, yes, they must have been then started to be copied. These manuscripts would be copied, and the book distribution begins. Srinivas marries. He has children. He actually had 2 wives. One of them, and I'll end with this, is Hemalata Thakurani, who was one of those, there are not very many in our line, but she was one of the Vaishnavi Diksha Gurus, whatever, in our line. She initiated many men and women during that time. So we have so much to owe to all of these great souls. I hadn't time to Parameshwari Thakur, as you can read about him, and I'm forgetting. But we owe so much to these great souls who have connected us to the tree that was sprouted by Madhavendra Puri, carried forward by Ishwara Puri, into the trunk of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, into the branches of the Goswamis, and now into ISKCON, which Prabhupada says is a branch of the Chaitanya tree. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So we're out of time, and unless I think we have to end here. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Oh, one thing that I wanted to mention to the devotees who live here. You may have noticed that I moved the Bhagavatam from where it was onto the top of that bolster. This is because I was present in New York when someone put the Bhagavatam on the same level as Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada made a point. He said, no, the Bhagavatam should never be on the same level as someone sitting. So I don't know who does it, but it should always be kept higher than the seat. Yeah, it should always, I mean, if you're going to keep it there, then it must be higher than Srila Prabhupada's sitting place. Hare Krishna.